across your stink eye. We try our best, and we're successful. Come watch our show. Bet River sponsors. It's time to start. Enjoy the show.
Well, a very good day to one and all. Welcome along to Betting Weekly Live. You're with Dan Roebuck alongside me, Rory Giovanni. And over the course of the next half an hour or so, we are primarily going to talk soccer and tennis. We've got something a little bit special for you at the end of the show as well, courtesy of Rory. We were going to start with it, but if we did start with it, Nigel Seeley, the boss, would never forgive us. So we're going to finish with something that's very, very different, very off the menu. Stay for the soccer and come for the soccer and tennis. Stay for a very interesting bet a little bit later on. Don't give the game away just yet, Rory. Rory, how are you?
I won't. I'm very well, thank you. Did you stay up for the Super Bowl, Dan?
Do you know what? I didn't. I mean, it was so late here. I mean, it started around about 11:30 UK time, wasn't it, in New Orleans? And yeah, how about yourself? Because you're further out the wrong way, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. It's weird. It's. I really was into NFL when I was young, and it's just something I lost touch with over the years. But I had quite a few years working in horse racing, and loads of people love betting on NFL. Yeah, it's a great betting medium, and obviously there's so many props and so many options of bets. But obviously last night you wanted to be on the side of the birds, of the Eagles, upsetting the Chiefs.
Yeah, indeed. And I've just got a little bit of info from one of our colleagues at Bet Rivers here, and I'll rattle through some of the big bets that have just been alerted to me. First of all, though, hello to Disky, to Rick, who says, morning all. Hope you did not lose too much on the Super Bowl. Rick says, I won my only bet on the Eagles. Duncan, afternoon all. Baron says, Rick, yeah, told anyone who would listen, Philly will blow out KC. I bet as much and won 3K. Nice. Good morning, all, says Arcabral. 3,000 American dollars, not Jamaican dollars. Yeah, Jamaican dollars, not too much to the pound there. These were some of the biggest plays on the Super Bowl here. $83,000 play on any player to have a rushing and receiving touchdown, minus 835. So really short price. That was a winner. 40,000 on under 50.5 total points, which is a loser. I think a lot of the shrewdies, Rory, were on unders, but it did go over. So that was a loser. 40,000 on under 50.5. 40,000 on the Chiefs -1, which was a loser. 30,000 on the Eagles +3, which was a winner. We had some sizable bets on the Chiefs on the money line at -129, $30,000 a loser. Chiefs -1, $25,000 a loser. And over 41.5 total points, which was a winner at -285. Most wagers on props. Saquon Barkley, anytime touchdown, which was a loser. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown, which was a winner. As was Hurts over 8.5 rushing attempts. That was a winner. Travis Kelce, anytime touchdown, was a loser, as was Saquon Barkley, at least 2 touchdowns. Judging by those, just a snapshot, I would imagine, Rory, it was probably a winning Super Bowl for Bet Rivers and indeed bookmakers in general. Generally, when the moneyline favourite loses, bookies usually win. That's how it goes, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, I think the Chiefs were well fancied to make it 3 in a row, but they got stuffed in the first half. What was it, 24-0 at half time? Something big like that. So it was kind of, it was all over pretty much at half time. But well done to the Eagles. That's their second Super Bowl. It's funny, I sort of followed the Eagles a bit when Randall Cunningham was their quarterback. So that's going back quite a long time. That's good grief. That's probably almost 30 years. It's probably about 30 years. But yeah. And I always quite like the green strip. It's quite a good one.
If you are getting involved in the next Super Bowl, and I think that BetRivers have taken 1 or 2 bets already, this is for next season. So the Chiefs and the Eagles, as you can see right at the top of the market there, 6-1 shot, 7 the Ravens, the Bills 8 along with the Lions, the Commanders 15 to 1 shots. So that's a Super Bowl winner for 25-26. If you're one of those bettors that like those long range bets, anti-post we call them in the UK, futures of course in America. That's what it looks like for 25-26. I mean, the Chiefs were going for a three-peat, weren't they? Last night, the Eagles have won it recently as well. It looks like those two are going to go head to head again next season. Are you on for long range futures, Rory, or not? I mean, they tend to be not as popular as they used to be a long time ago with me. I know from a horse racing point of view, people don't get involved in the anti-post market. Likewise for the soccer, there's a little bit, but not loads. Are you an anti-post, a futures player?
I used to be. I certainly used to be when it came to horse racing, but so many things can go wrong. I mean, all it takes is an injury to the quarterback, and suddenly, in NFL, injury to the quarterback, and that's that, and you've done your money. So, and it's very hard. I mean, I've just been looking at the sort of list of Super Bowl winners. Obviously, Chiefs were the last team to repeat last year, but before that, you've got to go back 20 years or so. Tom Brady and the Patriots back in 2004 for the last team to repeat. So that would put me off immediately. Backing the Eagles is very hard to do. Obviously, you've got the draft, you've got trades to happen. Although I said I had a passing fancy for the Eagles, the Commanders would be my team, and that was certainly a much better season from them after some pretty awful years. But you just don't know, especially with NFL. I mean, not that I'm an expert by any stretch, but you just don't know until the season starts really who the strongest teams are going to be. But said the one that would put me off straight away is so hard to repeat as the Super Bowl winner. So that would put me off the Eagles straight away.
Byron says LA Rams at 25 to 1. Look, a bet as long as they sign Stafford, they'll be active in the draft and free agent market. Paul Laguna says agreed on that, Byron, but don't sleep on Buffalo. Duncan says he's not got the patience to bet long term. I think
it's a long time to have your money tied up.
But I think we need a because we win team. I think everyone needs to get on board with the futures player. I'm going to bet the Rams on Byron's say so. I think just so I've got the ticket. So this time next year I can reveal the ticket and say, Byron, I owe you a beer. Nigel's been on and says, where are the London Monarchs in the betting? What happened to that European League? The London Monarchs,
to go to watch them.
Scottish Claymores, was it Frankfurt Galaxy? I can't remember
Galaxy.
Now. That it lasted for a couple of years and then it died a death, didn't they? Really. Paul Laguna says sleep with the Bengals. Mate says free market soon and draft. I think the Lions, if they stay healthy, Chargers, if they move right, can be dangerous. Ravens or Bills, says Ming. Makes a Super Bowl finally next year. Ming says he's already bet on the 2026 World Cup winner. Chris says, evening, guys. Loving the tennis coverage. Can let NFL pass, but good luck if that's your thing. Yeah, well, look, we just thought we'd cover the NFL at the top of the show because obviously it was a Super Bowl final. Of course, last night. Well done to Eagles backers. I think one or two of our followers, one or two of our watchers, viewers, listeners, have managed to cash some tickets on that.
But
so well
Dan,
done.
Even there, how many names have been mentioned for possible winners next year already? That was 6, 7, 8.
Yeah, it was. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go for the Rams. Rams are 25s. The Rams are my team. This is a betting weekly collective. Everyone needs to play the Rams at 25s. That's what we're going to do. It's as simple as that. Paul says that he blames Jack Wright. I mean, Jack knows absolutely nothing about NFL. He said the Chiefs. Yeah, well, there you go. When Jack says something for NFL, go the other side. It's as simple as that. We have got some picks and plays for you when it comes to the soccer and the tennis. Don't despair. We're not just bluffing our way through the Super Bowl for the entire show. Stay with us. John Rory's been in really good form on the tennis. The last two shows that we've done, I've been terrible, but Rory's been fantastic. So we need your thoughts on the soccer action tonight and indeed the tennis. We've got 3 soccer games to take a look at for you. First of all, Doncaster versus Palace, which is the cup game tonight, FA Cup. Doncaster are 10 to 1 shots pretty much. The ties you can see 5 to 1. Palace are short price favourites here. This is third in League 2, which is the 4th tier, of course, in England versus 12th in the Premier League. The over and underline is quite high. Doncaster beat Hull on penalties in round 3. Palace beat Stockport in the third round. Full disclosure here, when it comes to Doncaster, they are the third leg of a parlay that's probably going to let me down here, Rory, because I've backed Birmingham in League One, Leeds in the Championship, and Doncaster in League Two. It's worth about 12 grand to me if it comes in. The other two, the other two are going to win. Doncaster in third are off the pace, and they got absolutely hammered by Chesterfield last week. So that's going to be my hard luck story. So I've got a little bit of a down on Doncaster. Obviously, there's still plenty of soccer to be played between now and the end of the season in League Two. But I worry about Doncaster. I don't think they're a particularly good team. I've changed my opinion of them over the course of the season. They are just not consistent enough. They will be at full strength. We know about the situation with Premier League teams in the FA Cup. Who are they going to play? Palace are going to rest players. No Eze. Glaston's come out and said that their star man is not going to play it. And Ketcher is a doubt. There will be a full-strength Doncaster side. Luke Molineux is an interesting player for Donny. He's a right winger. He's got 11 goals in League Two. He's got 5 assists as well. When I looked at the Bet Rivers site earlier, there was no prices for any of the Doncaster players to score or assist or shots on target. Now, that might change between now and kickoff, but we'll have to wait and see. If Bet Rivers do price it up, you can get to score and assist at plus 250 for Molineux. Anytime goal scorer at plus 450. All the stats suggest that he should have a decent game. He's up against Tyreek Mitchell as well on the Palace left. So hopefully Bet Rivers will price it up. Obviously, you can go elsewhere, take a look at that. All depends on what sort of Palace team turn up tonight. One player who should start is Adam Wharton, who's had a terrible time with injury. Of course, forced his way into the England picture prior to that. He's form dipped earlier this season. He's a defensive midfielder, but if Palace have a lot of the ball, his shots on target data is quite good. And obviously against a fourth tier side, he may well get himself in a position to have 1 or 2 shots. He's minus 148 to have 1 or more shots and plus 230 to have 1 or more shots on target. All his numbers stack up well. 17 from 40 last season, 6 from 11. This is shots on target. This is shots. For this campaign. So those percentages work out for minus 148, which is around about 60% probability. So have a look at him if he starts. Palace have won their last 11 FA Cup games against teams from the 4th tier or below, and Donny have lost their last 7 FA Cup ties against top flight opposition. I'm sure Doncaster are more interested in promotion rather than the FA Cup, but you never know. I've seen under 3.5 being tipped all over the place tonight. It is short. Under 3 on the Asian line is minus 104. If Palace go ahead early, they could control the game and just cruise to a fairly professional and workmanlike 2-0 win or something like that. So minus 3 would be my, under 3 at minus 104 would be my play in the game. Have a look at Wharton. Have a look at Molineux if you're looking at goal scorer bets as well. Nigel says, look, a huge fade now on Doncaster for the remainder of the season. And now that I'm on it, I think they can win the FA Cup. Nigel's terrible to me, isn't he, really? What else have we got here? Byron says, Dan and Rory know nothing about Doncaster. Can they get a goal? Both teams to score, yes, is plus 102. Yeah, if Molineux's their main man. Everything comes to the right-hand side. He's a streaky striker as well. He's got 5 in his last 6. He started the season really well, then he dipped a little bit. Mate says Palace to win under 3.5. I've seen that tipped all over the place. It's not the worst bet. I think that's a fair play. Hey says, for these cup games, I'd go for a live bet. Pre-game, it's almost impossible to say. This is the problem. We're waiting for team news. It'll come out about an hour before. I don't think Palace is going to go particularly weak. I hope Wharton will play. Eze's definitely not going to play. Oliver Glaston's come and said that he won't do. Doncaster are going to go pretty strong. They are at home. They've got a decent home record. Prior to that Chesterfield defeat, they were in decent form. They'd won 4 on the spin and were rising up the table. They are in third. They still might go up. But, it's one of those ones that I'd probably leave alone. But minus under 3 goals on the Asian line looks probably the one. Doncaster only 7 points off top. Will also really last the place. Don't give up yet, Dan, says Steve. I just worry about it. Every other team around them have got games in hand, Steve. That's the problem. Right, that's Doncaster. We'll return to some football for you shortly. Got stronger opinions on the Italian action and the Spanish football coming up tonight. Let's talk about some tennis with Rory. Rory's been in terrific form for us when he's been on the live show recently, and indeed on the Game Bet Match podcasts and shows as well. Doha for you to tackle first of all. You've got to play in the men's at Buenos Aires a little bit later on, but talk us through these games here, Rory, who you like, who you don't like. I know you've got one official live play. Oh, if we can get Rory to take his microphone off, that would Bill. Put his microphone on. That'll be a bit better. Rory, are you with us? There we go. Rory. Can you hear me, Rory? Oh, no. Oh, I can't hear Rory. Can anyone hear Rory? I can't. Rory, are you with us? Now, seemingly, we may well have lost Rory's microphone. Rory, can you hear me? This is not making for good television, is it? Rory is on mute. I saw his microphone on mute, and then it sort of disappeared. Now he's completely gone. Now this is a slight concern. While we wait for Rory to come back to us, let's just get some of the football back up, shall we? We've got Doha and Buenos Aires matches to preview with Rory. It looks like his internet's gone, doesn't it? These are the other football matches that we've got coming your way this evening. Let's talk you through these ones, shall we? Now, Inter versus Fiorentina, first and foremost. Now, there's hey, says Dan, you got to do the tennis on your own. Crikey, I struggle with the football. Hey, let alone the tennis. So, first of all, Inter versus Fiorentina. Look, Inter minus 235 tonight. Fiorentina a 6-1. The tie at plus 340. Over and under here, 2.5 goals, minus 180. And plus 130 for under 2.5. Let's see if Rory's back with us before I dive into some more soccer. Rory, are you back with us?
I am. So I don't know what happened there. I couldn't hear you, and then I was like, "Oh God, oh dear."
Rick is. Look, we're going to talk tennis. Rick says Inter win. I think Inter will win, but you're going to have to get a bit more creative with it, Rick. Rory, talk us through your Doha thoughts here. You've got one official play here, but give us your thoughts on the matches that come up at Doha for the latest WTA tournament.
Yeah. So Aryna Sabalenka's up against Ekaterina Alexandrova. Nigel and I went through this tournament, obviously, on Betting Weekly WTA. Sabalenka was the clear favourite at the start of the tournament, the world number one at plus 270. And Iga Swiatek, who's the 3-time reigning champion, she was plus 370. We both went for Swiatek. Nigel talked me round because her record is so good in this competition. And the money's come for Swiatek, and Sabalenka's on the drift. So I think at the start of today's play, they were pretty much joint favourites. Swiatek might even have been favourite outright. But Swiatek's going for a 4th straight title here, and no WTA player has done that this century since Caroline Wozniacki in New Haven in 2011. She completed the 4-peat. That was once known as the Pilot Pen Tennis. A good field, but not as strong as this one. This is a WTA 1000. And Sabalenka, who hasn't played since losing in the Australian Open final to Madison Keys, she's back here. She hasn't appeared that regularly in Doha. She won the title in 2020. Last 2 years after winning the Australian Open, she didn't return until the following week in Dubai. Last year, she lost her opener to Donna Vekic. The year before, she fell in the quarterfinals to Barbara Krejcikova. So she doesn't have the best record straight after the Australian Open. And I think Alexandrova could make this one close. She won the 500 in Linz just over a week ago. She took last week off. Then she beat Emma Raducanu in straight sets at the weekend, yesterday, as a matter of fact. When she's serving well, she's quite hard to beat. She's only 4-3 down in the head-to-head. She did take a set off Sabalenka the last time they met, which was at the US Open, which Sabalenka went on to win. So I'm looking for a way to kind of get with Alexandrova. I think Sabalenka will win. Not seeing much on the game spreads, but Alexandrova plus 1.5 sets. So that's effectively the Russian to win a set is plus 138. It's just a lean for me, but I'm thinking it's worth trying to get on side with Alexandrova in this one.
So Alexandrova effectively to win a set here.
Yeah, that would. It's just a lean. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not having a bet on that, but I think the sort of Alexandrova on games, maybe even overs games, is the sort of way I'm sort of leaning on this one.
Anything else on that Doha slate that's caught your eye, Rory?
Yeah, Coco Gauff against Marta Kostyuk. Now, 3 of their 4 previous meetings have gone the distance. Gauff's leading the head-to-head 3-1, but she did win their last meeting pretty comfortably. That was in Wuhan late last season, 6-4, 6-1. Kostyuk was made to work quite hard in her first round match by Zeynep Sönmez, the Turkish wildcard. She hasn't made a great start to the year. Gauff was superb at the United Cup, then fell to Paula Badosa at the Australian Open. I don't think the Ukrainian's in good enough form to trouble Gauff here. I'm not sure she serves well enough to be competitive. For me, I like Gauff on the game spread. Gauff minus 5.5 games at plus 115. So that would be my play of these four matches. The other 2 are quite interesting. I mean, Elise Mertens is in good form. Very good form. But she beat Clara Towson, who was sick in the first round, won the first set 6-love, and Towson retired. Busca surprised Kalinskaya, Anna Kalinskaya in round 1. I think the odds, I mean, Busca did actually win their previous meeting, but I think Mertens is a worthy favourite here. Caroline Garcia against Jasmine Paolini is interesting as well. Garcia made a really tame exit in Abu Dhabi to Lulu Sun, but she beat Yue Yuan pretty handily in round 1 here. Paolini got a bye through to this stage. She's very consistent. Bit of a shock, her losing to Elina Svitolina in the Australian Open. She won their last meeting in Madrid. I think this is one to watch him play. And also it's one to watch. One thing Nigel touched on when he talked about this tournament is there's a big difference in the conditions from day to night. In the evening, it gets much cooler. And you've actually seen a few players wearing leggings in the evening because it's much cooler. So for Garcia, if it's early and she's serving well, if it's early, it's warmer, that helps her serve. So 1, you want to find out when that match is actually taking place. And 2, when you're watching the match, how is Garcia serving? If she's serving well, she's got a chance. If Paolini reads her serve, and Paolini's one of the best returners in the game, then the Italian will probably win comfortably.
Okay, so just wrap up for us. We're thinking getting with Alexandrova somehow and Gauff on the spread?
Gauff on the spread. Gauff minus 5.5 games at plus 115.
That'd be the main play when it comes to Doha. Rory's got some thoughts on the ATP action in Buenos Aires, and we have got a little bit of a special from Rory. If you're just joining us at the end of the show, we are very much ordering off the menu from the usual betting weekly sports. That is for sure. Let's go back to the soccer. Serie A, with 1 or 2 comments coming in. Rick says Inter to win. Mate says Inter and both teams to score. Also Budimir to score for Osasuna. Effie says Inter minus 1.25 at even money, looking to catch Napoli, obviously, here at the top of the table. Look, Inter minus 235 here. They're no real price to bet. They did lose the reverse fixture just last Thursday. They were beaten 3-0. It was a bit of an odd game. We talked about it on the European show. That was because they restarted the game in the 16th minute. It was abandoned initially because of the injury to Eduardo Bova, who actually collapsed in the game. Thankfully, he's okay now, but they abandoned the game. They restarted. Fiorentina won it 3-0 last Thursday. Now, it was a bit of a quirk because Fiorentina, or indeed Inter, couldn't play any of their signings. They had to have the same squads that they did have earlier this season. So there could be quite a lot of changes for the game tonight. Fiorentina might bring in a few, but the key thing here is Inter, because it was their biggest loss since going down to Napoli in May 2019. So we're talking best part of 6 years ago here. Every single time that they've lost this season, 3 times in all competitions, they have won the very next game. And last season, 3 Serie A defeats, and off the back of that, they won the very next game. So their bounce back ability is very, very strong. This season, they beat Udinese away 3-2, Lazio 6-0 away, and Venezia 1-0 away And that latter game was off the back of a Super Coppa defeat. So they were coming back from Saudi. So it was slightly different. They still managed to win the game. I think Inter has got to be the way that you play this. They are the top scorers in Serie A with 56 goals. They've scored 2 or more in 9 of their 11 Serie A home games this season. Fiorentina have scored in 13 and 15 away. So I think the question for bettors here is that how do you get with Inter? Inter -1 is -143. Inter -1.25, which Effie's put up, is around about even money. So you haven't quite got that get your money back if they just win the game vibe to it. Inter and over 2.5 goals is -115. So I'd rather play that. I think they could put in a statement win. Fiorentina could add to the tally as well. Moise Kean's having a fantastic season. He's got 15 goals this season, which is his best return, incidentally, in Serie A. And obviously, there's still plenty of games to come. He's got 4 in his last 4, including 2 in the reverse fixture last Thursday. So I'm going to play Inter to win over 2.5 goals, -115. Can't argue with anyone who's going that way. Inter team total over 2.5, says Effie. Inter wins. It will be big. Tend to think that could be the way forward. And Chris says, can't bet Donny with stolen money. Yeah, I don't think Doncaster will win. I mean, they might score. Palace could shut that one down. I can't remember who said Palace and under 3.5. It's around about even. I think that's a fair play on that Doncaster game. But Inter will win tonight. It's just how they do it, I think. We'll talk about that Mallorca-Osasuna game in just a second. Let's just reintroduce Rory to talk about one game that you like, Rory, on the ATP schedule coming our way. This is in Buenos Aires. Talk us through this one.
Yeah, as a lot of you will know, I don't really follow men's tennis that religiously, but this one took my eye. Clay court tournament in Buenos Aires, home player Facundo Diaz Acosta against Brazil's Thiago Seyboth Wild. And the thing that caught my eye is their head-to-head. They've met 4 times. 3 of those occasions, they've had a tie-break. And they actually had 2 in their last meeting in Adelaide, which was early last year. That was on a hard court, admittedly. The previous 3 meetings were on clay. But in Adelaide, they had two tie breaks. So just looking at that, thinking, well, there's a fair chance there might be a tie break in this one. Neither's in great form, particularly. Obviously, this time of year is not ideal for them. Not many tournaments on clay. We've just obviously had the Australian Open. We've got the Middle East swing coming up. So they're back in South America. But Bet Rivers are plus 180 for over 0.5 tie break. So basically plus 180 that there's a tie break. Mm-hmm. And I thought, just looking at this, there's a fair chance of that. As I say, 3 of their 4 previous meetings have had a tie break. So you're getting plus 180 about something which maybe has a bigger probability of happening than that price. So that was my view on this one. There's not much between them in the money line. They're pretty evenly matched. The matches before, their odds have been close. They've been close matches in general. So a fair chance this goes to a tiebreak, I think.
What price is that again, Rory? Tiebreak to happen?
Plus 180.
Plus 180. So we just need one tiebreak and we cash on that one. And the recent stats, as Rory points out, suggest that there could be. A Spanish game tonight, La Liga. I mean, this is just unders central. As everybody looking at all of the stats will tell you, Mallorca are the favourites to win it, but they've lost their last 5. Osasuna have only got 1 away win all season. They've drawn 5 of 10 away. Ming says Mallorca must be a fade today. Osasuna won't lose this, taking them draw, no bet. Will they win, though, Ming? That's the issue. Only 2 teams have scored fewer than Mallorca this term. Only bottom players via the liver scored fewer at home. Mallorca only scored 9 at home. As Steve pointed out, they haven't scored at all in 2025. They've registered over 1 expected goal only 3 times in 11 at home. I mean, every single stat that you can possibly look at points to unders. But that's why the goal line is very, very short. It's very small. I mean, basically, you go on the Bet Rivers website and it's over and under 1.5. So it's, everything's been factored in. Everybody, I still think it's going to be under. You can play the Asian line 2 at -124. That means if there is 2 goals, obviously you get your money back, but 1-0 either way, or a 0-0 will win that one. One little bit of team news for Osasuna. They could be without Ruben Garcia. I noticed on their Twitter feed that he is in the squad, but he did come off in the Copa del Rey defeat at the hands of Real Sociedad. Outside of Ante Budimir, he is their main sort of goal creator and scorer. He's got 6 goal involvements in La Liga. Budimir was tipped up by one of our commenters. Mate SK says Budimir to score for Osasuna is their top goal scorer by an absolute stretch. Garcia went off injured, an ankle problem. He is in the squad, so we'll see if he starts a little bit later. But I still think you've got to look for unders. The 0-0 is plus 550. Incidentally, 1-1 is plus 460. I know that people start to talk about no goal scorer, but I'm sure that people will realise that there's an awful lot of websites these days that have separate markets for 0-0 and no goal scorer. It's not like the old days. It is for some firms, but not all. The combined 0-0 and 1-1 is around about 2-1. The draw is plus 195. So you may as well just back the draw just in case it goes well for 2-2, 3-3. I'm going to bet the draw. I'm going to play the Asian goal line under 2 at -124. That's how I'm going to play it for the Spanish game tonight. Ming says that Mallorca was a fair. We've gone through that. Chris says over 1.5 plus money. Madrid over 1.5 plus money. Effie says Mallorca had a very tough schedule. Mallorca money line for me, says Effie. Mandeep says, Rory, do you have a view on Svitolina game in play? Rory, he's throwing you a bit of a low curve there, is Mandeep. Is that ongoing right now?
It is, and it's a classic WTA match because she's playing the 2023 Wimbledon champion Marketa Vondrausova. Vondrausova won the first set 6-love. Svitolina won the second 6-2, and it's going with serve in the third. So it's classic WTA. No, I don't have a view. I honestly, I try and stick to this rule is if it goes to a third set, leave it alone in WTA. Honestly,
God, you've got more discipline than me.
I sometimes I waver and sometimes I will have a bet, but I try not to get involved because, I mean, just 2 sets, one 6-love to one player, the other one 6-2 to the other. Anything could happen in the third set. And I know, and it's so easy to think whoever wins the second set has the momentum going into the third. It doesn't work in women's tennis. Women's tennis just doesn't work like that. If it did, I'd be a rich man. It doesn't. And the amount of times you see someone, completely tank the second set and then come back in the third is just incredible. So to answer the question, no, I don't have a view. Oh, Nigel's bet Vondrausova. Exactly. It's kind of, should have a chance, and certainly if you've won the first set and you're losing the second, there is a temptation to sort of, I'm going to take it easy in the second, not expend too much effort and then save myself for the decider. And that may be what Vondrausova's done here.
There you go. A little bit of in-play advice for you, Mandeep there. What Duncan says, it didn't work in Australian women's final either. Just to back that up, we have got something special from Rory coming up in just a second. If you've come for the soccer and the tennis, you've got to stay for this. Just before we get into that, Nigel's going to do his nut. I don't know if he knows about it or not. I can see him sitting there. What on earth has he got coming off? He's going to kill it. We're going to be up in front of the headmaster's office tomorrow, Rory. And I'm going to blame you squarely for the next section of the show. Just before we get to it, one thing that I did want to talk about there, and I didn't at the top of the show, it's just the FA Cup futures. I don't know if anyone's got a fancy, because if you still got a team in, obviously with Arsenal out, with who else got knocked out the weekend?
Liverpool
got knocked out. We didn't mention that Liverpool Plymouth game. Plymouth are around about 12-1, and Queen's Park to beat Rangers. I think Queen's Park around about 25-1, 33-1. It's about 400-1 the double. I don't know if anybody bet either Queen's Park or indeed Plymouth to win the weekend. Byron says cricket. That could be fun. It's not cricket. It's nobody will guess. Nobody will guess what's coming next. You have got about. I'm just going to run through the futures prices for the FA Cup.
Nigel's worried. He's worried.
You've got about a minute to guess what's coming up, but it's a bet. And it's a bet you can have with Bet Rivers. FA Cup futures. The interesting thing here, the draw is tonight. Obviously, Arsenal out, Liverpool are out. Chelsea are out as well. City are plus 200 here. If you think City are vulnerable, the Newcastle winner at 5-1. Incidentally, at the start of the FA Cup third round, we all put our picks up to Nigel. He put it up on the Instagram feed. If you're not following us on the Instagram at Because We Were in Instagram, there's been some exclusive picks from Sean, incidentally, on the tennis that have been absolutely flying. So if you've got an Instagram account, then please follow us on Instagram. And you'll get some exclusive picks from all of the handicappers. Sean's been absolutely flying. If you've not got an Instagram account, then get one and follow us. It's as simple as that. Plenty of exclusive comment here. Then Nigel says, FA Cup pre-tournament picks, Lewis, Bournemouth 33, Steve Fulham at 40, and me, come on Nigel, credit where it's due, Newcastle at 12-1. The crazy thing about the FA Cup futures here, City at 2-1, I sort of get it, right? But how can Manchester United be 6-1? And the likes of Bournemouth at 10s, Brighton at 12, Forest at 20s. I know Forest have still got to play in this round. It just seems a ridiculous situation because if Bournemouth play Manchester United, the Vitality, Bournemouth would be favourites. I don't get why Bournemouth at 10s. It's a crazy situation. United are a false price at 6-1. There is some value, I think, still to be had. Couldn't put you off Lewis's Bournemouth. I know he's got them at 33s. They're 10-1 now. What are we saying for the FA Cup futures? I think there's some value there because City are too short and so United. They make the book to a certain extent. Byron says the entire city of Manchester is an easy pass. This is true. And look how much of the percentage they take out of the book here. There's got to be some value. Have a look at the FA Cup futures. The draw is tonight, incidentally, around about 7:15 UK. So what's that? 2:15 Eastern. And you will know. Duncan says, because United get all the decisions. Yeah, where was VAR for that Leicester goal? That is true. Byron says Bournemouth and Forest as well. Good value. That's very, very true. So have a look at that. Have a look at the futures market for the FA Cup. So no one's having a get. Oh, Steve says table tennis. It's not table tennis. Gurney says, I get what you say, Dan, but who do you give a bigger chance of beating City, United, or those other sides? Do you know what? Look, it's a fair shout. If it was Ten Hag still in charge, I'd probably say United. But look, Bournemouth have beaten City at the Vitality. I know what you're saying, Gurney. I just think if they get a poor draw, I still think there's value. Forest, Max says, is it handball? No, it's not handball. It's not handball. No, it's not handball, but it's close to handball. Right, here we go then. For the only time, because Nigel will never let it happen again. He doesn't know it's coming now. I feel slightly scared to even put it on screen here. I wasn't going to do a graphic, Nigel. This is all Rory's doing. I'm not throwing in the under the book. I am throwing.
Let's not put the graphic up just yet. Let's give it a bit of build up, I reckon. I want to give a little bit of build up.
Go on then, Rory. The floor is yours.
Weightlifting. So there is a world championship going on at the moment.
Here we go.
And actually, the United States had a gold medalist on Saturday. The sport is alpine skiing. And the world championships are taking place in Saalbach in Austria.
Naturally.
The downhills at the weekend were really exciting. So Breezy Johnson won gold in the women's. I think Lindsay Vonn, who's 40 and got an artificial knee, she was 15th.
And Fred's old flame.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And Franjo von Almen won the men's, who sounds like a Swiss aristocrat. But he was very good in the men's downhill yesterday. Next couple of days, it was a rest day today. We got the team combined, which is a new event coming up in the next couple of days. Johnson's going to team up with Michaela Schifrin, who's
naturally
the goat. But the individual races get back underway on Thursday. And it's cheers, Nige. The women's giant slalom is on Thursday, and hopefully we're going to get a look at the odds for that.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have got a bet for you in the winter sports. This is the giant slalom women's world championship in Saalbach. Rory.
So the market is dominated by 4 athletes. You'll notice the name Lara Gut-Berami. She is in fact married to the Swiss footballer Valon Berami.
Ah, right. Okay.
There you go. But the top 4 dominate the market. It's very likely the winner will come from those 4. Michaela Schifrin, who's won 99 World Cup races, the greatest of all time, was due to be returning for this, but she got injured early in the season and she decided that she's not going to compete. Schifrin's not competing in this. She will compete in the time in the team combined, which is either tomorrow or the day after. But she's not. She's decided not to go in the giant slalom. Yes, her name, the winner of the downhill, was called Breezy Johnson. Correct, Nigel. Not a joke. So Sarah Hector's the Olympic champion. Alice Robinson has won World Cup races. Herman Meyer's not around, I'm afraid, Steve. No, he quit a few years ago, the Herminator. But Federica Brignoni is a $2 favourite, and she has every right to be. She's been very good in the speed events this season. So that's a Super G in the downhill. In the giant slalom this season, there have been 5 giant slalom World Cup races. She's won 2 and failed to finish the other 3. The last one was on home ice, home snow at Kronplatz in Italy. She was leading after the first run and fell in the second. She also won the last 2 giant slaloms of last season, including at Saalbach, which is where these World Championships are being held. Her victory margin at Saalbach that day was 1.36 seconds, which is a country mile in skiing terms. So there's no Schifrin. It's between the top 4. Given the nature of her win last March at Saalbach, she doesn't have to go all out to win this. I mean, she will probably attack. That's her nature. She got silver in the Super G, so she's skiing well. I know $2 isn't the biggest price about. It isn't the biggest price, it's not a price I'd normally play at. But I think everything points to her. Just given how comfortably she won the giant slalom at Saalbach last year, I think at $2 she's a bet.
Okay, this is the bet then. Federica Brignoni to win the giant slalom women's world championship. When is it, Rory? It's later this week?
On Thursday. Thursday.
So it's not like qualifying rounds. It's not semi-finals.
No,
it's not first run, second runs.
It's not even training runs. Like in the downhill, you had an edge because there were training runs, which gave you a clue. There's no clue this one, apart from obviously, as I said, this race last season.
I'm not doing Thursday's show. I don't know. On Thursday's show, we will know if this is a winner or a loser.
Correct.
There we go. Come on, everybody. Do you know what I'm really impressed about? The fact that one of our viewers here, this was Needleman, who says Schifrin not competing. I'm so impressed with our viewers. Straight away we've got someone who is knowledgeable about the women's slalom. We attract everybody, experts from everywhere. This is what I like about the community that we've got. Villain says, missed the start of the show. I'll go, yeah, well worth going back to the start.
Yeah.
Elijah says, when are we talking football? We've done it. A lot of you asking about the Inter game. I've gone into an over 2.5, Elijah. I know you said Fiorentina might score. They could contribute. They have scored in 15 or 17 away games this season. I like Inter and over. It gives you the 3-0 as well, just in case. So I'll have a look at that one. We're going to play the skiing. We're going to get on that. Needleman says, loving it, Rory. Can't be at skiing. Bet sweat, says Needleman. Fantastic stuff. Just love that. So we got the skiing. Look, Elijah, you want the soccer and the tennis. We did it right at the start. Nigel's saying it's going all downhill. The viewers have, as soon as we started to talk about skiing, the viewers went mad. It's simple as that. Skiing is the new soccer. So, to recap today, if you are just joining us, Palace again, Doncaster against Palace in the FA Cup. Palace to win under 3.5. Have a look at Molineux for anytime goal scorer or goal or an assist. Walton, shot on target or just a shot. For Inter Fiorentina, Inter over 2.5. Mallorca Osasuna is -2 on the Asian goal line for me. Rory, your best tennis bets for today?
So yeah, I've gone for Coco Gauff -5.5 games against Marta Kostyuk in Doha tomorrow. Tonight, in the match between Facundo, Diaz, Acosta and Thiago Seyboth Wild in Buenos Aires, I've gone for a tie break at +180. And then there's my skiing bet on Thursday.
To confirm, the skiing bet is everyone who's watched the show today, everyone's got to play this bet. 2-1. Rory, it is
Federica Brignoni to win the women's giant slalom at the World Championships.
Different class. Rory, thanks for joining us today. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
talking skiing at the end of it. Love Needleman's coming with some skiing chat. Many thanks to everyone who's joined us. The boys are back, of course, tomorrow. Champions League football Tuesday, Wednesday, Europa League, of course, on Thursday. Conference League is back as well, incidentally, with the playoffs rounds. An awful lot of soccer and tennis content coming your way. Make sure you follow us on Instagram as well as on Twitter at Because We Win. Plenty of exclusive content on our Instagram feed as well. Many thanks to everyone who's contributed as well today. From myself and Rory, that is it. Goodbye. Good luck with your bets. What's she called again, Rory? Brignoni. Come
Federica
on, Thursday.
Brignoni.
We're cashing on Thursday in the skiing. We'll see everybody later.